Hey guys, welcome to Project Metal Music's YouTube channel with your host Elion, and we are here with Nick Michaels and Matt T from Corners of Sanctuary, and this is the inaugural series episode of Tech Talk with. So, Nick, Matt T, welcome.
Thanks for having us, man. Happy New Year to you, to everybody out there.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, so with this being like the new series for the channel, um, I was sort of like I'm sort of like trying to work out how to do all this. Right, let's dive into some questions. But first, so Mick, you're one of the guitarists for the band.
Yes.
So, what type of guitar do you use for with the band?
I have a few different ones, but primarily for live application, I use the ESP LTD series. I have the EC401 series, and I also use the 256 series. And again, that's just for live shows. I also throw in I have a BC Rich retro gunslinger that I use a number of times throughout the year. It's usually one that I take overseas because it's lighter. But I've also been known to use, like, I'll use a Dean Deceiver, and I've used some other ones over the years, but that's the primary ones that I use for live, or the LTD series. For recording, though, I use the BC Rich Mockingbird Standard. I have for the last 15 years, strictly that. Prior to that, for recording, I was a Warlock American made from 1988. So keep that in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what type of pickups do you use in the guitars? What's your favorite sort of like pickup?
I use the EMC 81, the Active Electronics. I've been using that particular pickup since, I don't know, maybe 1997, when I converted over. However, I don't record with the 81. I record with the stock um, Rock Mafia BC Rich, because it just gives me it's very similar to the old DiMarzio Super Distortion, in my opinion, and so I like the sound of it. I know there's a DiMarzio in the BC Rich Gunslinger, so depending on the sound that I'm looking for, but I have it pretty much honed in that they sound there's a similar sound whether I'm using the actives or using one non-actives. It's just maybe a small EQ setting, but I kind of keep it the same.
Yeah. What type of strings do you use for the on the guitar with the pickups?
We have an endorsement with GHS. Sorry about that. I always get that confused because it's like an alphabet thing. GHS strings. We so exclusively that's what we use. I use a custom uh, boomer set, which goes from I have a mixture of tens and nines I put together. So I use a heavier bottom and a lighter top.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Now you said that you were sort of like a tech light band. Do you
Yeah.
use any sort of like pedals?
No, I don't use any floor pedals at all. Never really have. They just get in the way. I always found I was tripping over them, or I miss them, or it's too much extra stuff. Something could go wrong, so I don't use them. And I wanted to like preface the interview with that we consider ourselves a very low tech band, and by that I mean we just kind of simplify. Um, and we just kind of plug and play. That's what we always talk about. We're just going to plug and play, because we found that over, when you're touring a lot, and we are our own road crew. We need to be on and off the stage in a short period of time. A very small window is given, so we want to maximize our time, and that's so everything's kind of what that sound is. We try to keep it down to a minimum so we don't have, a lot of times with the pedals, man, guys are going overboard. Not everybody, but sometimes there's like, 15 pedals up there, and it's like then there's no room to move around. You know what I mean? It's crazy. So, and then the singer's stepping on, so, and things could go wrong, bad wires, batteries, adapters. So we kind of eliminate all. Plug and play.
Yeah. So, what type of amps, like amps, cabinets, combo, do you use?
Well, I use a rack system. So basically, I take pedals and they're in a rack system, right? Like, so I use an old vintage Digitech Valve FX processor. It's from, I mean, now vintage. I guess it's around from '95. It kind of took over for the, like, as the Legend was getting older, the FX kind of took it to a new level, and then I just run it with a Behringer compressor gate, and I recently got a brand new iNuke 1000 power amp just to, stack it all together with a power strip, and it's ready to go. And for me, using it that way, I get consistent sound. I don't have to readjust anything. Maybe just a volume control here or there. And again, running the EMG actives, again, I just plug and play. It's ready to go. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
For cabinets,
So,
I either primarily when we're on the road, I'm running just a 212 Carvin with stock speakers. I've also carried around, depending on where we're going or what we're doing. I have a 412 line 6, again with stock speakers, because with using a processor and the active electronics, again, you're getting that consistent, repeatable sound over and over again. But I have been known, and when we recently played with the Iron Maidens, we pulled out the vintage Randall Road Warriors. They were from like '88. The things weigh like 400 pounds a piece, and they got 4 Celestion speakers in it. So I have 2 of those and 2 sets of those. And if you're looking for a specific sound, they can do that to you.
They're also very loud.
They're very loud. Yeah, you can take that 1,000-watt and just pump them through without any like additional distortion or breakdown of the sound.
so, what type of cables, do you use to actually plug your guitar in? That runs to the cabinet and the amps.
Well, we have an endorsement with George L Cables, and we use them exclusively for all the connections and stuff, and we use them solely in the studio as well, because the sound that they deliver, it's just, to us, it's unprecedented. So we actually use them to mic every, they connect to everything, and they're you can repair them if something happens. All the ends are changeable. But for the guitar, both James and I use a line 6. What do you call it? The I'm drawing, all of a sudden I just drew a blank, like somebody hit me in the head with a guitar. Now we use a wireless system. There you go. That's what.
Yeah.
We use the G90 wireless system from line 6. Simply because we want to have that freedom to kind of move around. Sometimes during the show, James, our bass player, and I will switch sides. So much of a cable. Again, the older I get, I find that the cable winds up getting wrapped around my leg, and then I'm trapped. I don't know how it happens, but it seems I didn't have that problem when I was younger, but I have it now. So the wireless thing comes in handy for sure.
Yeah, cool. So, Matt T, you're the drummer for the band. What type of kit do you use?
So currently I use a vintage Tama Rockstar Power Top kit with a Tama Birch wood snare. It really, all that helps push the Corners of Sanctuary sound, which is very reminiscent of the 1980s metal. And once I found that and said, "Hey Mick, how does this sound?" It's like, well, that sounds great. That sounds like Judas Priest. It sounds like,
yeah, it's in our wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's just like boom. I was like, all right, well, that's that.
Yeah, it's a solid sounding kit, and it's got the much the power toms, which are nice and deep, and it just brings that sound and fills that back end for us.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
much
it's
so.
it's amazing kit, and it's all. I mean, you're talking it's 40 years old.
We think so. I mean, it's done in the style of the 1980s with the connecting what do they call it? The just kind of lines through the tom, and they sound great. So we think it's like an actual 80s drum set, but I mean,
But it captures the exact sound that we're looking for our particular style. So it's awesome. I love that. I mean, there's newer every time. It's like once we hear that kit mic, I'm like, man, I love that sound. It just takes me back to a time when metal was king.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
got that.
and it's great on the road. I'm telling you, it's great on the road, man. It's
sometimes the drums take up just a little bit too much space, but that's,
hey, it is what it is.
drums. But I mean, it's perfect for what we do. I have no complaints.
You can tell we're very low tech guys, right? We go more with sound than we don't know the names of stuff, or we're forgetting the names of stuff, and like, who cares what the names of stuff are? You know what I mean? If it sounds good, it works for us.
And if it sounds good, Mike.
Yeah, it's even better. even better.
So, what type of heads do you use on the drums? What type of skins?
Well, for this one particularly, I use Remo pinstripes. I've used other ones in the past, but once I joined Corners of Sanctuary, the pinstripes just sound great. I mean, honestly, again, with the power tom sound with the drum set, it just, it just fits the music. So I mean, again, that sounds, then don't have a problem. Once it starts sounding bad, I mean, maybe I'll change. But so far, I have no complaints with the Remo pinstripes at all.
Yeah.
Again, that's part of that classic sound. Yeah, it's that classic. Durable. I mean, they're just, and let me tell you, they take a beating. You know what I mean?
They do.
I mean, they're on the road with us all the time, so it's amazing stuff.
Yeah. Do you use a single drum, bass drum, or do you use like a double bass drum for the shows?
I use a single bass drum, mainly because it's actually easier to move around. I first started drumming, I was like, yes, I'm going to have a double bass kit no matter what. And then when I actually started playing, I'm like, oh, the stage is like not that big, so it's just like, okay, I'll just use single. So that's about standard, and that came with the vintage set. So the bass drum complements the toms, the floor tom, everything else. So it's just it's just part of the package. And if I change one of them out, it's not going to sound like us, or at least the sound that we're used to.
Right.
Yeah. So, what type of kick pedal do you use?
Currently, I use the I have it written down here so I don't forget how to say it. It's the Gibraltar G-Class 9000 double bass pedal. I've had that for 6 or 7 years now. Before I was using a Pearl pedal. I actually use that for practices. But the Gibraltar pedal, when I first played it, some drummer allowed me to use his the bass pedal, and playing it, and however he had it set up, I'm like, oh my god, these things just fly so much more than the Pearls do. So I'm like, I'll invest a thing of that. So they've stayed relatively consistent throughout the 16 years I've been with Corners. And actually during the Christmas break time to just to work on them just a little bit, because I was noticing a little something, and like the fact that I was noticing something like 6-7 years after I bought them, that just goes to show you the quality of the gear. So I think I have it put together for fixed up, but we'll
see.
Yeah, we'll see, and I'll find out on our first show later this month. So, so I will report back.
They make me sound good.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what type of cymbals do you use on your kit?
Yeah, I use Samsung cymbals. I have an endorsement with them. They are really good. They are the Brilliant line. Yeah, they are actually specifically the hi-hats allowed, and they cut through everything, which is great because sometimes other band stuff, it's cymbals that drown everything out instead of the hi-hats, or you can't hear certain things. But the cymbals have like a quick decay, so it makes it easier for me to hear what else is going on stage, specifically the guitars. I mean,
you've had that endorsement for like what, 5 years now?
Yeah, about 5 years, and none of them really.
Yeah, we've had them. We've had them on the road. I think those cymbals, like again, as a guitar player, sometimes there's cymbals that they wash out everything, like even some of the guitar, right? Because usually the amps or the cabinets are slightly behind the drums or off the side. And I've played with guys that like they hit something and that's all you hear, and you lose, But these things, they cut right through. They're crystal clear.
They are light.
Yeah, they're lightweight, and we've had them all over the world. We've had them, in the UK. We've had them in Europe. We've had them in across
Germany.
Across the US. So they're durable, man. I don't know. I think it's a fantastic sound.
Absolutely.
And, I think, and I'm like I said, I'm not a drummer, but I can appreciate them because, as T was saying earlier, like whatever equipment we pick, it has to complement and/or enhance, our sound and style, right? Because if we're going to bring something in, it's going to change what we're doing. That's something that we got to, we'd have to address. Like, well, that's not what our style is, or what, not to say that we're not experimenting or trying things, but it has to be something that complements and/or enhances the music. Because at the end of the night, that's what's most important. So
like it's complement the core sound of what Chords of Sanctuary is. Like if I started to use cymbals that sound dirty or like it's just like it sounds heavy or maybe even too bright, then like the ambience and the accents of music for Chords of Sanctuary changes drastically. And I know when I joined, it's like I don't want to change too much of what the product was already was, because again, like they've honed this product. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to come and see what I can do to enhance it. So it's just like these things are great.
And with Mad T's inclusion in the band, we have definitely expanded on the quality of the sound and what we're doing. So that's a testament to itself right there. Again, because it's not like we're worried about like, oh, we got to have the newest fad or the hottest thing, or someone says we should get a delay that plays, the song for itself and we don't have to do anything or whatever that is, it's not like, it's like us, not tech toys. This is equipment for what we're doing. And we want to have the right equipment for the right job to deliver exactly what we expect and what the audience expects, what the music deserves. So it's not like, like I know there's people that love to buy stuff just to buy stuff and say, well, I have it in here. Like it's like a bragging right. Well, I got this, I got that. I want to like we're a modern band with a vintage throwback type of sound and style. And part of that niche or niche, however you want to niche, however you want to say it, is the sound quality we have, right? Or the type of sound. So like I said, I run a vintage processor and a vintage compressor to get that sound that I want from the era that I enjoy and what our sound is representative. Like T's drum set is a vintage drum set. Even James, our bass player, he uses the Hohner Professional B bass, and he's the ones his two primary ones were built, and he bought them back in the mid '90s, and he uses them live and for recording, and those things they're unbelievable. They never go out of tune. They're always sounding phenomenal, and we primarily use like what they call the British EQ, which is just basically mid-range bass and treble. And if you can't get your sound with that, that's your core, and you got a problem. If you got to keep stacking stuff to create this stuff, then it's I don't know. That's our opinion.
To that point, it actually makes sound checks for us a whole lot easier.
Oh yeah, boom.
Yeah, because since it's plug and play, or it's literally just drums, not electronic drums and samplers and all this other stuff. Though those are fun, it doesn't help our sound, or it doesn't enhance our sound, I should say. But like the sound people that we've interacted with, always been, God, you guys like
in and out. Make it real simple. Because if we can make it simple on them, we have more time to play. We have more time to interact with music, and people appreciate that. It's part of that professionalism that you try to have. Listen, that's not to say that it doesn't go off without a hitch once in a while, because it does. You have technical issues, whether it's due to the band or due to something else. It's Murphy's Law, man. That stuff happens all the time.
I've seen bands where one band, I can't remember the band's name. I'm going back about 12 years ago. One of the support bands, I went to see Lacuna Coil back in 2011 down in Birmingham, UK, and live on stage, their camera just went bang, and it's because of basically the bassist put too much power through the cabinet. From the amp, and it just blew the speakers.
Yeah, I mean, we had done a West Coast tour, so we were out in LA and along the California coast and all, and we had played the Whiskey with the Iron Maidens, and then we had to fly back to Philly, and then we had our equipment because our next show was opening for Last in Line at a theater, and we get up on stage, we're setting up, and I have no sound from one gig to the other. So I couldn't use my setup. Something had gone wrong. So I could use part of it, and then we had to use somebody's pedal, and that was like the first time that I used the pedal. I wasn't even sure how to operate it. Like, so we just plugged it in, we turned it on, turned all the dials all the way up, and I says, that's good enough. I'll work the volume over here. I wound up finding out that, like, from the baggage handlers, they had stacked up our equipment, and it compressed, and it actually broke the pot. Like, it pushed the pot in and it cracked, but from internal. So you wouldn't have known that until your repair guy got it. But we went from one gig to another, and this is sometimes what happens in transportation. Like I said, Murphy's Law, man, anything can happen out there.
Yeah. Speaking, so far deviate away from the tech talk. Speaking of tours, you're coming over to the UK, aren't you, in April?
April, yep.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So as it stands now, we're coming over to the UK to kind of finish what we started back in 2020. We're coming over April 20th to the 30th, right?
Yeah. 2020.
2020. So we're coming. Yeah, we're coming back. Yeah, because we were over there in 2020 March, right before the world shut down. We talked about that before, and unfortunately, we didn't get to finish everything. So we're coming back in April. We got a handful of dates set up. We got a couple more that we're still finalizing, but we're really looking forward to it. Really excited about coming back. Yeah. So we hope to see you guys out there.
Yeah, because I was all ready to come and see you guys back in March of 2020, but then all of a sudden, bang, world shut down.
Unfortunately,
We scrambled.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah, it was a crazy time, but I'm glad it's behind us. I'm hoping for sunny skies as we move forward, and we're going to get over there. We're real excited about it.
yeah, I'm most definitely coming to see you guys. Yeah, because you're playing close to me in one of the dates, so
Okay,
I'll be there. I'll be there, front and center, rocking out.
nice, perfect.
Yeah. So let's get back to the questions. I know it's probably not as such towards you both of you, but what type of microphones do you use for either singing or like miking up the drum kit?
Right. Well, primarily we use microphones. Use the SM58s for all backups, and Frankie, our singer, he uses the SM58 Beta for main vocals. So that's what we've been using Shores for, I don't know, a pretty long time. So I mean, even back in the day with other bands, we've always used Shores. So and again, we want that consistent sound, we want that reliability, and man, you can smash up and hit people over the head with a Shure, and it still works and it delivers. So that's what worked for us. So the SM58 and the SM58 Beta is what we use.
Yeah, and do you use obviously you use the same cables for the microphones?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I know. At one point, Frankie, prior to the SM58 Beta, he was running a wireless SM58, one of the older ones, and that always seemed to deliver too. So a lot of times though, when you're playing live, sometimes the venue or the sound person has particular set of cables, and you just have to use theirs because they have the length to go from the board to the stage, or and sometimes all the leads are right there. So they're already set up for you. They just got to plug and play. So if we don't have a choice, that we use what's there. If we have a choice, we use what we bring. So yeah.
Yeah. Does Frankie use any pedals for like voice distortion or anything like that? Or
well, prior to in recent time, no. I mean, we would use whatever the board or the sound person has, but he didn't carry his own effects. But this year he's going to be working in the TC Helicon Create XT. He wanted just a little extra edge in live, just when he needs it. So sometimes, again, if we're playing a place, a venue, or to an area with a sound person that's not familiar with our music, and that happens. Listen, it's out there, right? There's millions of bands, and we're just one. So if there's a certain part that needs something a little extra, that sound person may not be familiar with that. So Frankie had decided at the end of our last tour in October, he says, you know what, I need to have just a little bit more say in this on stage. So he decided that he wanted to pick something real. I mean, it's only about yay big. He can fit it in his little lunchbox with all his throat soothing things and his chewing gum and his vocal spray and sinus medication and cough drops. So and it makes it real simple, and it's just boom boom, and it's on and off once he has the settings. So we're kind of looking forward to seeing how that goes live.
Yeah, cool. So if I covered the basics of what you use, have you got any sort of like preferences? Whether you are say, for instance, you go into the studio to record, or to if you're in the rehearsal room or playing live, have you got any specific sort of like equipment that you would rather use for those three different settings, three different places?
Yeah, well, again, definitely for recording, I use the BC Rich guitars. I use the Mockingbird Standard. I've been using that pretty much, the entire time in Corners of Sanctuary. Prior to that, I used the BC Rich Warlock, USA made. Like literally, that was the only guitar that I used both on the road and recording, and that was for a long time. So much so that I think right about a half a year after Mad T joined the band, I wound up retiring the guitar because it needed using it so much and so often. It needed so much work. You know, I'm just going to retire it, put it away. Someday I'll get it all redone, but yeah, that's primarily what I use. And Jim, the same thing. James, the same thing. He uses his Hohner professional B bass. The thing is he has an on-off switch for the active, so his pickup can go active or it can go passive, but he records passive. I record passive as well because we do track layering, and we sometimes build the guitar sound that way rather than pushing the sound levels, like, because we keep as much headroom as we can, again, to get that vintage type sound. Because if you go pre 86, there was a certain kind of sound that was associated with metal, and we try to maintain some of that, but of course with the modern clarity. So yeah, I mean, and I think it's the same with T. He's using now, depending on the studio, sometimes studios, they'll have a particular setup themselves with both a guitar sound or even the drums,
yeah.
which makes, so, and nowadays they have EQ settings. They can make any drum set sound like some other drum set. You know what I mean? So that's a beauty, really, with the digital technology. It does make recording and sound capture, at least from our experience, much easier than it did years ago. We can eliminate a lot of sound and noise that was commonplace back in the analog days. You know what I mean? But now with the digital technology, there's some of that sound you can eliminate immediately, especially if you're going direct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've seen some documentaries about analog, and it was a bit of a nightmare to like lay the tracks on tape. And then I seen other documentaries about and watching YouTubers like, say, Rob Scallon or Jared Dines, when they do recording, they show the screen, and it's all they got to do is just like bang, 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 and it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, myself coming from that analog reel-to-reel tape time, and I know there's a lot of guys out there that have come from that era as well. It was so cumbersome, and it took so long, and it was like if you made a mistake, you had to start all over again. I mean, we used to punch in, punch out, but it was not as easy as you thought. Nowadays, punch in, punch out is a matter of ones and zeros, and you can get it down to you don't have to pull out that razor blade anymore and cut tape. You know what I mean? Everything can be done, and it's non-destructive, which is beauty, because if you mess up, you just undo, and you do it till you get it right. Down to that millisecond.
Yeah. So I think that might be about it for about it. It's been absolutely fascinating. Been absolutely fascinating learning what technology you use within the band. Thank you guys for coming on.
Honestly, we spend more time trying to figure out what we're going to eat than what we're going to play. It's because that's what we got, and that's it. Done. Use what you got.
And the cool thing is that we know what we play, so then we can be like, okay, well, we got that, so now
let's go get something to eat.
Yes. Pizza or chicken? Which one do you want?
I can actually see that. What type of pizza do you want? Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll have that one. Yeah, I can actually see that. Yeah, especially when you've been doing it like such a long time, you sort of like straight in, straight out type of thing.
Yeah,
you can say, right, time for food.
That's right, exactly. Food's the most important part of the day,
especially right before the set.
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming on and doing this little talk about what tech you use. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. We really
you.
appreciate it. We'll see you in April.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh yes, I'll be there, like I said, front and center.
All right.
Right, thank you. Like I said, thank you so much for coming on, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
You enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.